the network, the neurons, the mastermind. With second brain, they entertain.
Stand by for action. We are about to launch StingRay. Greenville, Miami Battle Station. Anything can happen in the next half hour.
Five, four, three, two, one. Thunderbirds are go.
Welcome to the Second Brain Podcast. I'm Paul Renshaw.
And I'm Terry Mills, also known as Mastermind.
And we have a very special guest with us today who's done some amazing work on an old show that we both love, that are the Thunderbirds and StingRay series from the 1960s and 70s. And it's beloved by many. And we have Peter Hitchcock, who was the projectionist and helped make that film a wonder. So please bring your love, bring your happiness to our wonderful guest, Peter Hitchcock.
Yay!
Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. It's nice to talk to some more people. I'm sort of stuck here working on my film all the time.
Oh, I understand.
Which we'll get to later in the show, the song about us in the second half of the show. So stay tuned for that. And now on with Peter's story. So Peter, to start off the interview, tell us, how did you get involved with AP Films?
Well, I guess just very simply, I started off as a cinema projectionist. I wanted to work in the film industry, and that's one way to start. And I was talking to an usherette one day, and she noticed that in an ad there was a job for a projectionist in this other studio, which I never heard of, AP Films. And but I knew about StingRay and Fireball XL5, and so I went up there in my bubble car, and I got an interview with Sylvia Anderson, and I got the job pretty well right away. And the job was a projectionist, but it was with a double system projectionist, meaning that we had to show the rushes, so we had a sound and picture a projector. There was two of them actually, and that was actually hooked into a video camera in those times, so they could watch it on black and white.
Back then.
Yeah, it was really different, and it was also a back projection that I operated as well, and that had a kind of I remember it's transparent, just tracing paper for the screen. And we had all these different videos that we would put up, driving and things like that. And so I was a projectionist here for a while. And one day the lip sync operator who moves a puppet's mouth got sick. And so I got thrown in right there, and I didn't know how to do it. And apparently I did a really good job that they invited me back the next season when this guy left. And so that job was not just lip syncing, it was actually being an assistant director, writing continuity notes. My hands were actually used in as the puppets, right? And
Very nice.
I can tell you a couple of stories about how my hands were used and my feet was used.
You never wear one hat in a job these days.
Yeah, one hat, and I'd help build the sets and sometimes operate the puppets. And it was a generally, a great place to start out to learn all about film. It was shot in 35mm color, There was like a fairly big crew, and then StingRay finished. And I enjoyed working. I like StingRay, and Thunderbirds started, and was working on Thunderbirds, and Thunderbirds the special effects got behind, so they closed one of the puppet stages down. There was two, and I started working with a guy called Derek Meddings, who was quite a famous director for special effects.
Right.
A really nice bloke. And so I would end up doing all the special effects. Not just assisting the special effects. My job, they had alligators. If anybody's seen the series with the alligators,
That's
we had a huge
amazing.
tank which had a a horizon. You could actually see the water overlapping. So it actually you could build little sets and things like that. And my job was to get the alligators, and I would have to go and grab the alligators by hand out of the water, like hello, hello, how are you? And then boom, right, and that kind of thing. And we would blow up things, and there was an awful lot of smoke.
Yes, I
Uh,
remember that
and
show.
there was roller roads, and I mean, it was. I was like a kid. I mean, this is just absolutely amazing times. We were working long hours sometimes, but it was really great.
Well, when
That's
you do a job that you love, you're never really having to think it's being a job because you're just like so amazing that I get to do this job.
yeah, yeah. I did. I mean, we worked 35 hours in one day trying to catch up with the special effects so they could edit into the series, right? Uh, and there was like four directors, so each director would come in and do 2 weeks. It would take 2 weeks to shoot a half hour, and we so I worked with all the directors there, and then when the special effects ended, they offered me to work on Terrorhawks, and I tell you quite honestly, I got so fed up working in the dark, not seeing the sunlight, and so I said that's enough of that, right? And I just left, and I had a flat in Maidenhead, on the River Thames,
Right.
and I was running two folk clubs as well. I used to book people like Paul Simon for £20,
Hmm.
Bert Jansch, John Remborn, David Graham, and so they were in the pubs, and so I
Very nice.
charged much money for coming in, and I converted a stable into a coffee bar. And so we had, music in there, and I actually had a projector on the wall and played really cool music and stuff like that.
Amazing.
So I was entering into like another period. Um, and at that time, the club got raided, and there was nothing, no drugs, no nothing, as far as I knew, anyway. And it just looked like it was getting a little tough for me there.
Wow.
And my uncle is a doctor out in Saskatchewan. He had emigrated from, well, he came from Guyana actually, and he studied in Liverpool. And he paid for my trip to come over. And I arrived that night with £100, and that landed in Toronto and landed in Yorkville, which is the other story. But you can go back and ask me anything you want
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
puppets and things, and how I
Um.
use my hands
One,
very
one
cleverly.
question. One question about it. Did you ever work on the Scarlet series with puppets?
No, no,
No.
it all ended up with Thunderbirds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terry.
So, Peter, I was reading some of your biography. I was going over your biography, and you said you were very inspired by Punch and Judy to become a puppeteer as well,
That's right. Yeah.
and that you got and you actually played with explosives. How old were you? What were you, like 12?
Well, I was 7 no, I think I was about 5 when I saw Punch and Judy, but
Right, right.
I was about 8 when my parents bought me a couple of puppets, and I had a witch and things like that. And my dad built me a little stage with a curtain, so the curtain would open and had a light and things like that. and plasticine cauldron. In those days, you could buy flash powder from the chemist,
Right.
and I actually did a show on a person's living room carpet, and lit the thing, and it burnt a hole in the carpet. Right? So, so I never told Derek Meddings that, but you know that
Oops.
And then you're on Thunderbirds playing it with explosives again, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
so
Fun
they
we have with our toys.
yeah. I guess back then they didn't really even have like a safety council, or they didn't have, they didn't have any of the safety measures that they do now on set with
There,
explosives.
yeah, there was. I can tell you one stupid thing that I did. Being a bit of a lazy bloke, we had I had to create rain, right? And these sprays you pump up and you build up pressure, and then you can
Right.
spray a bit, fine spray. Well, I got really lazy, and I put this dry ice in it, and I closed it up, and all of a sudden the valve started to whistle, right, and everybody scampered out of the out of the studio. So I kind of like I felt a bit stupid at that time. So I kept on pumping from now on after just doing that.
Well, you
Well,
live
at
and
least
learn.
it wasn't water. At least it was water and not actual explosives. So,
That's right. Yeah, yeah. But
but I
it
can
was,
just only. Sorry, I
yeah,
could only imagine that everybody scampering when they heard the whistle. Like, it's gonna blow. Let's run
yeah.
away.
It was a loud whistle, right?
Yeah, much like a tea kettle. So,
Yeah. But it was like being a kid. Everybody was really nice, and we worked long hours, but the idea that I was working in there to getting all this knowledge, and I guess I could have maybe made some more contacts. I know there was talk about some of the crew going and working on 2001 at the time.
oh
Um,
wow, yeah,
yeah, but it's like a freelance life too. Like sometimes some summers I'd get laid off, and I'd go down to the seaside and wash dishes actually.
oh
And
yes,
live the life on the seaside, right? I mean, we weren't paid a huge amount of money either for doing what we did.
right, right. Well, then back then, like things were much cheaper back then.
And
So
Yeah,
simpler.
I was in a union though. I mean, I did have a union ticket by that time, right? But you need to have contacts, and it was on a trading estate in a slough outside London, so you didn't kind of mix with any other filmmakers like you can in Toronto.
right, right, yes. I actually took the Nesbitt entrance exam myself a while ago, and I never really went with it. But yeah, I understand. So, anyways, moving along. So, have you seen Team America?
Have I
By
seen?
Yeah, by Matt Parker and Trey Stone. Team America. It was the
No.
oh
I gotta write it down. See America. Okay.
Team America. You
It,
have to watch it, Peter.
it looks just like the marionette types that were in Stingray and
No, I think there
and
was one a long time ago. Something a very funny one. Is
Yes,
that the one?
yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I think I did. Yeah,
Yeah, and they actually left the strings in the film, which was actually quite funny.
yeah.
Okay, so Peter, did you ever get a chance to work with Jim Henson at all?
No, but there was I think Jim Henson was putting on a show here in Toronto in the VTR studios just in Yorkville. And I did go in there and I saw they had large puppets and they had hand controls and things like that. But I do remember that. I did work on another, just I think it was like a pilot. Oh, that's with puppets, and I was the film editor on that. And I can't remember the name now, but that was shot in Yorkville area too. that's the
Right.
closest I got to puppets. So I never. I did try to do a stop motion mixture of puppets and things like that, and I took that over to Jerry Anderson. I showed it to him. We had a had puppets built and things like that, and a spaceship and things like that, and it's called Captain Lone Star. And I tried to get that off the ground, but I couldn't. I couldn't raise the funds, and we kind of stopped there doing that.
Right. Right.
What a shame.
Too bad.
So, Peter, tell us how things are different now from when they were then about doing your film work now that you're more into film these days, transitioning.
Well, you know, when I came to Toronto, and I got a job within 3 weeks working for the CBC as an assistant editor, syncing rushes and things like that. And then I went over because I thought, well, I wanted to be an editor because the directors at the people said, we, you know, if you want to be a director, you have to learn editing. And
Right.
so I spent a fair bit of time doing film editing on TV commercials. And at one point, you know, it got to I got a little bit bored with that, and I opened up a photo studio in Yorkville and to do still photography because I was interested in photography, and this is a kind of the gradual transition, right? You know, and I started getting work actually as a cinematographer, well, as an assistant first, right? You know,
Right.
um, and I worked with some really nice people, and they were really good. And I ended up doing a lot of shooting. Somewhere for the armed forces, go over to the Middle East with the United Nations after the Six-Day War.
Right.
I'd filmed battleships doing sea trials, and I was doing some aerial photography, and I came across a Russian spice ship, um, all nice white spice ship, and it was on the national news. Um, but as far as the question goes about like you know what's different now, I guess you know having film and having separate sound and things like that was a real nuisance for editing. Um, the technology has certainly been amazing because I actually was in a transition point from going from film to video, and I started to come up with an idea for a TV series, and that was on TV Ontario. I wrote a book
Right.
that went along with the series, and a guy called David Stringer I thought would make a great host, and as it turned out, he was a fantastic guy for knowing about video too, and he had his own 1-inch machine up in his attic, and used to do a lot of the how-to shows in TV Ontario. And so I actually learned more about video by actually making a series on video, and that series sort of helped me, uh, you know, really take off with video. It actually ended up on PBS,
Oh yes.
the Learning Channel. A Spanish version was made of that series, and so you know, I was it was really. Basically a trial and error going off and shooting video. But eventually, you know, I bought a beta cam for that series actually, big heavy thing, right? You know,
Right.
and I did the offline editing on 3/4 inch. I had a 3/4 inch editing machine, and would paper edit it. That's the way they did it at TV Ontario. And go in, and they'd have to put it all together in their edit suite. It was 8.5 hours, and it ended up going to a lot of schools through PBS in the States,
Nice.
and they're still pirating it on YouTube right now. So
Oh,
it,
right on.
it hung up. So you know, so I sort of made that, and I also did a lot of work for Ontario Tourism and Ministry of Natural Resources. So I've been like a Mr. Ontario, going all over Ontario filming, and which has been absolutely lovely, as well as making corporate videos and commercials. And every step of the way has been a learning situation because the technology has changed a lot.
Yes, it
And so
has.
this time when I made my feature film, I wanted to shoot 5.7K, which is a particular Panasonic Sonic camera,
Right.
and I found a cameraman that had that camera and was good, and then I had to come back and edit it, and I've got my own editing suite, but of course I had to adapt and buy more equipment, stuff like
Yes.
that. And yeah, it's sort of learning as you go,
Yeah.
fudging. Yes, know what I'm doing. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
So,
I've actually been hearing a lot of that myself. Myself and my videographer from a short film that I just filmed a couple months ago. We're actually right now in editing mode. So I've been hearing a lot of learning points myself. And you're right, filmmaking is a learning experience. It doesn't matter what you already know, you will learn even more as you go along,
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
there's a lot of clever people out there developing all this wonderful software now, right?
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Yeah. And of course now the whole distribution side has completely changed as well. I'm not using a distributor. I'm going straight, putting it out online with a company who's actually, I call them the distributor, and all these companies are plugging in like Apple TV and Netflix and Amazon are all going in there, going around trying to find out what suits their situation.
Oh, yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's gotten much different for the filmmaker nowadays, and there are so many choices. You could release it on a pay-per-view site. You can uh,
Streaming
hopefully
is the
streaming site.
future.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, these days it's mostly about the streaming because the physical is being or trying to be phased out, but people love having physical copies of what they love. Uh, some people are just happy to stream it and forget about it, but people like myself, and I'm sure Terry likes having physical copies himself, they're great to look at, they're great to see the artwork, and enjoy the film.
And actually, I learned a downfall from having uh, a electronic copy of something. I had a book that a friend had written, and I actually bought a copy, and now all of a sudden, because they took it out of print, I decided to take it off the website that featured the book. I no longer have access to the book. It's very
Right.
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's why.
that's just another aspect of this whole cloud universe. So there's things you don't have control over.
Well, that's why these days they do the PDF download and have it all
Yeah.
posted on their site. They've improved certain things for certain companies, but I get where you're coming from, and that is kind of the uh, future that we're heading towards, where it's the
Right.
you will own nothing and be happy about it.
Okay, we agreed we're not talking about politics ever on the show.
Yeah. Well, right now we're doing some Facebook advertising, right? And this is all like low budget stuff that we're doing, but I'm getting a lot of good feedback, and it's really nice to read some of the feedbacks. And we're because the film's in England and it's also in the United States. There's different time zones that all this sort of information comes in, and so I'm chatting away, writing back to people and say hello, and it's I don't know whether the film's going to do any good or not. I just don't. I have got no idea right now. It's just like
Yes.
It's
But
like,
it's great to have the feedback when you can
yeah,
gauge things.
yeah.
Oh yes.
So, a question for you. There was during a time period of my youth when I used to, and I'm sure Terry used to as well, watch our, Stingray and Thunderbirds, and in between those times, Robin Hood, Hercules.
Robin Hood. Wait a minute, I could do the whistle. Love Robin Hood.
Yeah, I actually have, because the guy was from Hamilton, Ontario. I was at a convention for what they call Toronto Trek, and I had met this gentleman who was at a table, and he was selling VHS copies back in the early 2000s, late 90s, where you could buy the first season of Rocket Robin Hood, and I was like, oh, I have this website, and so we made a trade. I would put an eBay page for him to sell his cells of art that were original cell work that they was actual animation for Rock Robin Hood. So I have one cell, and it's my pride and joy. But yeah, I wanted to know what you thought about those shows and having it in between them, the Thunderbirds.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
Go
sure,
ahead,
Peter,
Terry.
go ahead.
well, I'm just going to say that was a Canadian Pendensham. He made a feature film on Robin Hood, and he wrote a book called Ride My Alligator, which is, I think, recommended for filmmakers. But the whole idea is that well, first of all, do you go to college to learn filmmaking, or do you go off and try to make a short film? I think it's really the situation, and then do you shoot it and direct it and edit it, or and the whole thing? And that's, I would say, you may go out and make a short film, but I would certainly say take some courses at Ryerson or wherever you can, because there's always other people there that you can share the experience with, share a crew with too, and exchange it. I think it's like a film is made by a team of people, really, and I think once we make those kinds of connections where you're actually you're with a team, then it starts to flow for you. And I think get it's cheap now, right now. I mean, you can make your films with the iPhone too, right? Which is quite
Right.
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got a granddaughter who's she's 11 now, and I said, so what do you want to do for a living later on? She said, I want to be a film editor. So right, okay, that's great. So, so she's actually using some programs and things like that, on her iPad and
Yeah.
learning. So there's a whole younger crowd coming out to make sort of some visual stories for us and express humanity and things like that, and maybe get the message across, how to improve it.
Right. Right. And there and over the course of history of film, which is what we're talking almost 130 years of film now, about that, there's been a lot of great female film editors out there. Like I wish I could remember her name offhand, but I can't. The one that edited The Towering Inferno. That
Ooh,
was such an epic movie. And it was based on off of two different novels that they had kind of meshed together. One of the novels I have is called The Glass Tower, and I can't quite remember the other one, but I think the other one was The Inferno. And they meshed them together, and it was a female editor that edited that epic piece. So there, throughout history, there has been female directors and there's been female editors, and it's all about your capability. is what I'm saying. And I promise not to get political on the show, God damn it. But
That's all right.
but
We
you
need
know,
a bit of sensible stuff right now.
right. But it's, can you do it? You know, really. So if she works hard at film editing, she will be a spectacular film editor for sure.
Yes, practice makes perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. And so anyways, Paul, do you have the trailer queued up so we can watch it?
So, this part of the interview, we're going to now talk about our second segment, which
Yes.
is the Song of Us, which is the feature film of Peter Hitchcock. So, this is the Song for Us. It's a feature film by our guest here, Peter Hitchcock. Let's watch the trailer and afterwards we'll discuss.
I was the lonely one, a wanderer from the wars. Deafening sounds of life so squandered.
It's Tom. He lives in a shelter.
The core.
After all these years.
Come to this place of love, a heart to
Tom and I
love
wrote that
and
song.
trust.
It's beautiful.
Come with
I thought Yorkville was the perfect place for me to visit and play my music, learn.
So, how long you been playing?
I was playing in some folk clubs back home, but I heard Yorkville's a hot place for music.
My best friend, he turned into a lover.
I'm from San Francisco, where it's cool.
Are you a draft dodger?
Yeah.
The lovers. This card represents your future. So, what might that mean?
Romance. Sexual desire.
Do you sell grass here?
Yorkville is my home now, and I'd much rather live here.
shades of doom on the nightly news.
Your mom and I have been worried sick.
All
The
you
military
know,
police have been here looking for you.
Canada is home for now. No, I won't kill it for you. Change is coming. I just want to say we're going to overcome everybody. There's something there. I know it.
Tom, look, there's something here.
I know you. Girl in my dreams. Special place.
Yorkville.
you'll wander carefree all through a song. The magic stars will sing along, and when you're old, the memories will come back warm to set you free.
So that was the trailer for The Song of Us. And what a wonderful trailer it was, Peter. Can you tell us a little
I
bit?
should just say it's called A Song for Us.
A Song for Us, sorry.
Yes.
And can you
Take
tell
two,
us a
take
little
two,
bit?
take two.
Alright, take two. Peter, that was a wonderful trailer, Song for Us. Can you tell us a little bit about that wonderful trailer? Just a little story behind it, and how you were, maybe some struggles, difficult times, how to, you're making with it.
Just the actual making of the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but my son actually edited it. He's a filmmaker too, and so is my other son as well. They're both classical musicians as well, and so it was better that he did it than I do, because he had a little bit more objective. I'd seen the film and written about it, things like that. So what works, and it told a story really well right from the start. So he did a terrific job. So. It's Austin Hitchcock is his name. A for Alfred. We thought that anyway. That's when he was a kid, right? I thought that's how I'd give him.
Yeah.
But
Of course.
no, it just grabbed us, and my partner, my sweetheart, she liked it too. We all as a family been involved in this, of course, right? And to me it works, and we've actually been doing Facebook ads, and every hour I've been getting thumbs up and hearts, and people writing to me and things like that. Whether they see the film or not, I don't know, but they like the trailer.
Well, it has a very warm and loving feeling to it. It has a very, from the trailer right away, it tells such a grabbing story that makes you want to watch it.
Well, I have to tell you that the way I started writing this, right? Like you have to start somewhere.
Right.
Was one idea is what happened when you meet your long lost lover. So I wrote that down, and then okay, where would it be? And I thought, oh, Yorkville, right? Because that's where I ended up, and I met my sweetheart in Yorkville as well. And I knew a lot of the musicians, and most people know about the history of Yorkville, from Buffy St. Marie to all the other wonderful singers, as well. So I I thought, well, I could have him being a musician or something like that. And I actually, in my folk club, I had a girl that actually used to come and sing, and that's where I started to picture it from, right?
Right.
And everything started to flow, and I wanted to shoot on the island. I really liked the island, so that's where the other scenes took place and things like that. Um, and it took me a long time to write it and keep writing it and things like that. But we pulled it off, and then I had to start the casting, and we had I think there was 18 actors that we had to cast in 2 different time periods. So I really
Right.
wrote myself into a hole. It was like that. That's really tricky, and original music, and that period as well. So I actually could have written a script that was simpler. So and we shot it in 20 days.
That's
So
not bad.
schedule. So Peter, I'm trying to remember my Trontonian history. I was a single digit kid back in the 70s, and if I remember correctly, the history of Yorkville, it used to be kind of a mecca for all the hippies and things like that, right?
Yeah,
Is that
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and they had some drug problems down there and stuff like that, and there was cannabis around and things like that, which everybody was against, and stuff. It was a mixture, but every night I lived close by, and I just used to walk down, and it was a great place because you'd suddenly bump into someone and start talking to them as you're having a coffee.
Right.
Wasn't really right. We didn't go down to drink beer, right? Which is I used to do when I was a teenager. It was like sit down and have a cup of coffee, right? And there was some great acts down there, and it was a it was a really lively place. And the main musician that actually I ended up casting by looking on the internet and trying to figure out who could look old and sing well and things like that. Um, I actually found him on the internet. So I should just pause here because I'm actually going through a brain. Yeah, okay. Can I just have a little pause there? Okay.
Sure, no
Yeah,
problem.
this because I'm burnt out from the film actually. But
Yes.
anyway, Keith Mackay was chosen as the elder singer, and then he had written a lot of music in the 60s. He was in a group called the Kensington Market. He's also a Juno award-winning songwriter, and he came and did the rehearsals. We had all kinds of rehearsals in the house and things like that, and he was just marvelous. And so I had to match another person, younger than him, and that seemed to work out okay. And it was kind of like the film was kind of like, oh, I wish it could happen, and it did. And it's like staying positive, right? That the
Yes.
whole idea you've got to just believe in this, and this can happen. And I think you don't know quite how the audience is going to react, and whether they'll like this kind of music and this kinds of ideas that I had. But it was for me, it was a film that I could make for Toronto. And
Right.
there's not too many films that actually tell the story about Toronto, about the neighborhood. I think there was a few stories way back, the Kensington Market series and things like that. But
Yeah.
to me, it felt great that it could work with work in Toronto and actually be seen in Toronto.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Toronto has some really great history to it, and it would be a shame for it to get lost for sure. And your story, it sounds real. You know what I mean? It sounds like, hey, this actually happened, or this could have happened. And I think that will be one of the big attractions to this story.
Yeah, I think it
Besides the
has
music.
a surrealism to it.
I know it's a kind of the mixture, how far can you go? I mean, we didn't have like a huge crew or anything like that. This is low budget, right?
Right.
And but everybody got paid. We all fed people, which is most important, right? And
Yes.
we had some little hiccups here and there, and I had a good line producer that helped me, Jeremy Campbell, and it was all professionally done and stuff like that. We worked hard on it.
Right.
Some scenes got lost out just to keep the story moving along, but I regretted taking some of those scenes out too.
Yeah. But that's what happens in editing, right? The scenes that you
Yeah,
love the most that you have to drop.
yeah, and it's being objective. So I'd have people come over, some people from the Yorkville days themselves, and I'd get feedback, and I'd listen to other people as well, what they thought about it, and it wasn't edited in a rush, and because I was editing my basement, I had my own equipment, I could do it, and that's what a lot of great things that indie filmmakers can have, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. This is it sounds like a great movie, Peter. Like honestly, I can't wait for it to see the final product. Um
Yeah.
as a filmmaker, what kind of rules do you have on set? Do you have any like quirky rules? Like I have this rule that you're not allowed to laugh on my set, but everybody does anyways.
No, no, I think a director's got to be a happy director, make people feel really comfortable and really get into the story, and they feel part of it. I I I don't think I got any rules like that. I think I was I because I'm a cameraman as well. I wanted to grab hold of the camera sometimes, and things like that, do things like that. But, I told myself, no, you're directing this. That's all you're going to do, right? So I just worked that way, and it worked out fine.
Yeah.
And as far as acting, I mean, they were all very good actors. And Keith came off really well. He's got a really good review in one of the papers, and in England actually, and he wrote 10 of the songs, and so he's trying to put that together. I don't know quite whether he's going to put it out on LP or put it on Spotify. I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I hope the music takes on after seeing the film as well.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure it will. So, Peter, what platforms are the a song for us available on?
it's on Amazon Prime and it's Amazon Prime UK and Amazon USA, and it's also on another uh, website, which I'm not really familiar with. Oh, gee, what's it called now?
Like
I
a
know, I've got it.
Roku?
Sorry, it's called Look Through, and it's brand new, and so you can watch it there as well, and I've got it for the rest of the world on Vimeo, and it's not in Canada, unfortunately, which is
Well,
a
that's
great
why
shame.
it's great to have a VPN.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
and then
Yeah,
you can jump ship and be from somewhere else. But
yeah,
we're not sponsored by a VPN, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. But, we I'm hoping that will start to build as people start to report back. I think I'm in competition with a lot of movies. I can't believe how many movies there are right now.
Yeah.
And I did target market the film. My wife actually, I noticed, controls the VCR, the VCR, the remote control, and so I thought, right, I'll make a film for women, right?
Hey,
so so the women's story, because there's not enough stories out there, all guys beating up other guys, right? So
right.
this has got a nice human story in it, and
Well, I apparently am typecasted right now as a rom-com fantasy filmmaker myself. So I could understand. I could understand where you're going with this, and you know, um, it's a great story. I think more than just women are going to like this
Oh
film.
yes, I agree. I think that this
yeah,
is
it's
a
actually we've got the statistics, and that's another interesting thing about Facebook. It actually tells you like how many people are watching it and things like that. So
Right.
we're looking at it. We're getting some sort of feedback as they're looking at the trailer and the film. So we're learning how to where to put it and place it.
Yeah.
I would love to see it in a cinema actually, in Toronto. That's what I would really like.
oh like at the Carl
I think it would do well at the Carlton.
yeah.
You should talk to
Oh, the
Carlton.
Carlton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
should talk
You
to
should
the
talk to
people at
them.
the Carlton and do a premiere there.
That would be absolutely lovely to see it on a big screen. And it's that's and to hear the audience. And as a former projectionist, I know what it's like when you're sitting in a cinema, right? And you're actually getting in another dimension with the audience.
Yes, because you just
Right.
get people's little small talk, and you get people's, or you get people's, ah, little, different ways that you can tell the experience the audience is having.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but yeah, so you can find, so our audience who's just tuning in, we are doing the A Story From Us at astoryfromus.com. You can find the
It's
trailer
just
there.
a song for us.com.
Yes.
Song for us.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a song for us.com, and you can just go to the website a song for us.com, and you've got the links right there.
Right. And
Yeah.
you know what, Peter, I will definitely tell my dad about this, as he used to be an old Yorkville boy himself
Oh,
from
great.
back in
Okay.
the day. So I
Yeah.
will definitely let him know about this film.
And
And
there's an awful lot of people on Facebook belonging to the various Yorkville sites and things like that. So
right.
it's alive and well, and I just hope we can go back to live music more, and go out to
Yeah.
the pubs again and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all opening up now. And it's great to see the bands back out there again. And as I didn't start off as a filmmaker. I kind of started off from like the music industry side, and then I got kind of kind of jumped into filmmaking, and that's how I practiced operating a camera, was on all my friends' bands, you know. And so I think the music in this is going to really touch people, and the clubs are all opening up, so maybe, who knows?
Yeah. So thank you very much, Peter, for coming to the show today. That's all the time we have for tonight. But like I said, go to asongforus.com, and if you have Amazon Prime, go watch it there. And it's gonna knock your socks off. It's like we said, it's a wonderful film, and you're just gonna love it. And don't forget to write a review about it too. So, this is the Second Brain podcast coming to you from Toronto, and this is our special guest, Peter Hitchcock, and my co-host Terry and I are gonna be doing some more podcasts in the future. So stand by and check us out. Come to Virtual Sky Studios for more podcasts of The Second Brain with Paul and Terry. Have a great evening, everyone, and take care. The network, the neurons, the mastermind. With Second Brain, they entertain.